In this tutorial, we'll go over how to add an image to your project, what the difference is between a bitmap image and a vector image, and how to use both types of images in VideoScribe. I'll break it down so that we focus on what matters in terms of using VideoScribe, and I'll use pretty graphics to try to make it a little fun. First, let's add an image using VideoScribe's built-in library. Click on the mountain-looking icon at the top left of your screen to open the Add Image window. At the top, you can search for whatever it is you're looking for, like an arrow or a person giving a thumbs up sign. Just click on the image that you want to use and it'll be placed on your canvas. To delete it, just select the image and hit the delete key on your keyboard. When you open the Add Image window again, you'll notice that instead of the image categories, it just shows a history of the items you've used. However, you can always get back to the category screen by clicking on the library icon. And if the history section gets too long or you don't want it to show anymore, you can right-click one of the images and click on Clear History to get rid of them. Going back to the canvas, you can see, just like when you add text, that the image is represented on the timeline at the bottom of the screen, where you can change its draw type and preview the effect. As I mentioned in other videos, our workflow will be first to place all of our objects, then set the camera, and finally adjust the draw times. Next, let's add some text. Now let's move the image over a bit to see what it should look like in the end. As per our usual workflow, let's set the camera next. Select both the image and the text by holding the Control key and clicking on each item in the timeline. We want them both to have the same camera position, so click on the Set Camera button at the bottom right of the screen. You can instantly see an object's camera position by double-clicking on the object in the timeline. That way you can add other objects to the scene and set their camera positions to this one, so there's no sudden zooms or movements, unless you want it like that. Now, if we preview the project, you can see the man get drawn in, and our text comes in right after with no change to the camera position or zoom levels. Finally, set each object's draw time by using the plus and minus icons, or click on the time directly to change it to whatever you want. Let's preview the effect by first making sure that the image is selected, and then click on the Play From Here icon on the timeline. The draw time looks pretty good, but I don't like that zoom in the end, so I'm going to uncheck the Zoom at the End checkbox that appears when previewing the project. So that was easy because we used the built-in image library. But what if you wanted to use an image that you downloaded from the internet? Will it be drawn like the thumbs up guy? Well, that's when we have to start talking about the difference between a bitmap image and a vector image. JPEG, PNG, and GIF files are examples of bitmap images. Bitmap images have a set size, so if you try to make it bigger than its original size, you'll eventually see the quality decrease through blurriness or pixelation. As an example, I'll import this happycat.png bitmap image. When you import a bitmap image into VideoScribe, it will ask you how you want the image to be drawn on the screen. VideoScribe will try its best to figure out where the lines are, but ultimately the effect still looks pretty fake. If I have a bitmap image like a photograph or a complex image like a banner, I usually use the move-in effect with a hand or use one of the rubbed-on effects that don't try to trace the image itself. But for demonstration's sake, let's choose the second one that is kind of following the different lines. We'll set its draw time to 5 seconds and move it over to the left so we can compare it to its vector version. A vector image is an image that was built in a vector graphics program like Inkscape, which is free, or Adobe Illustrator. Vector images are file formats like SVG, EPS, and AI. These images don't have the same limitations as bitmap images. Since vector images retain information about each line, stroke, and color, you can theoretically resize a vector image as big as you want without any loss in quality. However, as far as VideoScribe is concerned, the important part of a vector image is the first part, that the image retains information about every line, stroke, and color. When you import an SVG vector file into VideoScribe, it won't try to figure out where the lines are because it already knows where they are. Let's insert the vector version of the cat onto the canvas. Click on the Insert Image icon on the main project window, and click on the File Folder icon to import our own image. I'll select the SVG version of our happy cat and click on Open. When we inserted the PNG version of the cat, it asked us how we wanted the image to be drawn. However, when we inserted the SVG version, it didn't give us any options because it already has the line information that it needs to draw it. Let's move it to the right and set it to have the same camera as the PNG version. Double-click on the PNG version on the timeline, select the vector version, and click on the Set Camera icon. Finally, let's set its draw time to 5 seconds. Let's preview the effect to see the difference. You can pretty clearly see that the PNG version on the left was just kind of guessing about where the lines were compared to the SVG version, which looked a lot cleaner. There are a bunch of image packs specifically created for use in VideoScribe, but I found that you can turn pretty much any vector file into a decent VideoScribe drawing. That's actually more advanced than what I want to get into right now, but you can watch the tutorials about creating your own SVGs and converting vector images you download from websites like openclipart.org once you're more comfortable with VideoScribe. Well, that's it for this video. In the next tutorial, we'll go over using and understanding how to manipulate the camera. We've discussed it briefly in the last 2 videos, but I think it's important enough to get its own section, especially when it comes to moving the camera to clear your canvas. See you there.